Semifinal number 2 features a rematch from last year's Pipe Masters final. John Florence from the North Shore of Oahu taking on the best of all time, Kelly Slater from Cocoa Beach, Florida, currently ranked number 6 in the world. Paddling into the first wave, it's John Florence, free falls. Let's go the rail. The wave unloads. John Florence starts with an insane one. And
gosh.
Kelly is going on the next one. Big free fall. He grabs his rail, pulls into a huge cavern, and he flies out back-to-back insane rides to start off semifinal number 2. Two of the best regular foot tube rides on the planet. Just going head-to-head here, Potts.
Have we just started the heat with 210s? That's all I've got to say. Have a look at this one from John, standing tall in there, driving. You can see how when you grab that rail, you don't have that ability. John comes flying out of the end, and you can tell he doesn't claim at all. Have a look at the next one. Kelly Slater paddles in. He goes, okay, well, I know John just got a barrel. Let's see what I can do here. As Kelly bottom turns, he opts for the other option there, grabs the rail. Look how high he is on that wave, driving through that barrel and comes flying out of the end. Kelly Slater, John Florence has just, both of them have just posted, in my eyes, 10-point rides, but the judges might have something else to say about that.
As one of the best opening exchanges in a long time in pro surfing. Kelly Slater, 42 years of age, the oldest surfer on tour with 11 world titles, the winningest surfer in Teahupoo history. Now coming head-to-head with one of his favorite surfers. You start hearing him last year and the year before when John came on tour, that he wanted to have big finals with John Florence. He wanted to have that heat last year with him at the Pipe Masters. Kelly got the chance to have that final last year. He was able to beat John at the end of the season, and it meant so much to him. Now again, a rematch in perfect conditions. You couldn't ask for a better battle in waves like this.
Well, you know, Kelly said, I'm not going to be happy retiring until I have a final at Pipe with John, and you know, he got that wish, and it was just enough to keep Kelly going for another year. And that's what we want. We want to see Kelly find those things to just keep him going, because, I mean, look at the way he's surfing, 42 years young, and he's still mixing it. You know, John's half his age, and these guys are going head-to-head out here pumping Teahupoo.
Well, those scores are still yet to come in the screen. Let's now hear from world number 1, Gabriel Medina, out in the channel with Rosie Hodge.
Thanks, Joe. Yes, Gabriel Medina, what an incredible day of surfing. You know, there's been a few questions about you surfing in big barreling waves. Does that add to pretty much the prestige of making it into the final just because of the way the conditions are and you're kind of answering a lot of those questions?
Yeah, it's just too good, you know. I've been having fun out there, and I think everyone is having fun right now, and I'm pretty stoked to be in the final, you know. It's my 3rd final this year, and yeah, can't wait to the final.
Your 3rd final for the year, like you said, you are in the yellow jersey. That puts you world number 1 at this current moment. Obviously, this is huge gains in the rankings for you. Is that playing into your mind at all, going into the final?
No, not really. I'm not trying to think about it, you know. Just surf and have fun, and that's what I've been doing, and it's been working, so I'll keep like this.
All right, well, Gabby, thank you so much for catching up with us right now. It is Pete Mel in the channel with Bede Durbridge.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bede. Well, Bede with me here. First of all, let's talk about that heat a bit. You know, on the start of the heat, you and Gabriel were kind of going deep. You know, playing into that game a little bit, huh?
Yeah, no, he definitely sucked me into his game plan, and it just took me out of my positioning, and I was too deep on both my waves, and especially the second one felt like could have been a 10 if I was in this a little bit further over. I would have been able to make it, but yeah, no, he's very tactical in his approach, and yeah, worked perfect for him, and yeah, it was such a bummer, but yeah, I'm pretty stoked to be a part of this day. Like, the heat before was, yeah, pretty special. I'll never forget that. We're surfing with one of my best mates. We've been surfing against each other since we were 13, so yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, these boys in this heat, they're next level. Those 2 first waves, wow. Yeah, their backhand barrel riding is just second to none, and yeah, only other guy you put in that mix with John and Kelly is Dandy. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to watch sitting here in the channel, and yeah, just such a great day for ASP, and yeah, stoked to be a part of it, and yeah, played ball.
Right on there. Good job, Pete. Loving this day.
We're right there with you, Pete. Beat Durbridge, holding his head high for one of the best performances we've seen at Teahupoo. Back to the replay, because John got a wave during the interview where he let go of the rail again, Potts.
Again, well, let's have a look at that first exchange. We saw the replays on him. Kelly dropping a perfect 10, and when I say perfect, that means every judge gave him a 10. John, every judge, well, 3 judges gave him a 9.9, 1 gave him a 10, 1 gave him a 9.8, averaged out to a 9.90. 28 and a half to go. John's just dropped another score, and that looks like it's going into the 9-point range again. Let's have a look at this wave right now as John pumping. This was wave number 1. This was the 9.90. Now, he came flying out of that. That's a John claim right there. And then Kelly right behind, falling out of the sky, grabs the rail. Look how high he gets on the face of the wave and somehow manages to come out of that one. So we are in for an unbelievable semi-final. John's just locked in a 9.10. Kelly needing a 9 to get himself back into the heat.
Insane start. John Florence already with a 19-point total against Kelly Slater. Kelly with the 10. He needs a 9, as you see what the panel thought. 5 judges on. They all were quick to react with the perfect number once again here at Billabong Pro Tahiti. The perfection continues. We're still seeing sets above the 12-foot range, and that's always a modest number when they talk about the size here at Tahiti. It's backless. It's coming out of deep South Pacific and unloading on such a shallow reef. That's so much power. You could probably keep the lights on in Tahiti for about a year with one of these waves.
That's exactly right, Joe. Just the amount of power that it unleashes on that reef, and that's what amazes me, how these guys can actually handle that. The body gets twisted and torn and ragdolled like in 5 different directions, and it's amazing that there's no broken limbs and torn ligaments and busted knees and stuff like that. It's just testament how strong these guys are. John, 2 9s already. Kelly Slater with a 10. And, we heard B. Durbridge say these 2 guys are the best backside tube riders, second to none. And the only one really in the same ballpark is the late, great Andy Owens.
Well, we always like keeping up with the progression movement when it comes to any type of surfing. More waves on the way. First priorities with Kelly. He needs a 9 to take the lead. Glides in. Beautiful stall in the pit. The wave unloads and Kelly comes out. Looking for a 9-point ride to take the lead off of John Florence. A fair answer back. Clean ocean surface on the face. A clean read and maxed out the tube time, Potts.
Well, you see that little bit of onshore breeze that we were experiencing through the day? That is gone now. It's gone back to that beautiful, clean texture. Look at how clean that wave is. Kelly just driving up into the barrel, nice and deep again, and just comes flying out after the spit right there. That thing threw up twice. So Kelly Slater super deep on that one, and looking for a 9.0 to take the lead from John. Have a look at this one right now. Perfect positioning from Kelly, about as deep as you could possibly get here at Teahupoo on that wave, especially as he comes out.
And now still 25 and a half remaining, starting with near perfect scores for Florence, a 9.9 and then a 9.10. Kelly already had a 10. As you think about this year for Kelly in the world title race, the odd part about our top 5 picture was not having him in the top 5 before this event started, but already getting some serious points to move up into that top 5 picture. As we head to lower trestles, we're seeing the ocean pick up. John Florence deciding not to go here, and it looks like priority is sitting with John for the time being. Let's get more insight on Kelly's role this season with the desk with Ronnie, Strider, and Aki.
Well, the only thing keeping Kelly from right up the top end of the ratings at this stage, Joe, is the fact that he hasn't made a final. He's got his work cut out in this heat, despite opening up with a 10-point ride. The best matchup you could have asked for on paper rock, but you were just absolutely loving Kelly's backhand tube riding technique on that last exchange.
Yeah, especially on this wave, I noticed something really different that no one's done yet. And if you can replay this 10-point ride for you, look at Kelly, look how big this wave is. But what he does, he goes high and he gets himself so high here. That's where there's no foam ball up there. If he was down at the bottom, see, the foam ball would have got him, but he went high, he went up and around the foam ball. No one's done that yet, boys.
Such amazing barrel awareness, Strider.
That was one of the most amazing techniques I think I've seen. You're right. I haven't seen anybody do that yet. And Kelly Slater showing us something new again out here at Teahupoo. Historical day, just bringing us everything we wanted to see. And now we're getting more notes on the books. I can't believe it.
Kelly's got the 10-point ride, but John with 2.9 still holds the lead at this stage. Boys, this could be one of the greatest heats of all time. Kelly shaping up for perhaps a perfect heat already.
Ronnie, I think that's a really fair call. Watching the start of this heat with a 10 from Kelly, a 9-9 from John to start, and I love how Aki reacted to that too, Brian. I mean, that's what Aki was expecting from him if Cloudbreak was pumping, and that's why he ended up having to shave his head and lose the dreadlocks, because he was waiting for Kelly to showcase that at Cloudbreak, and now he gets to do it with a pumping swell like this in Tahiti.
Exactly right, Joe. So we have a look there. Our past winners out here at Teahupoo, Ace Buchan last year with an 18.94 two-wave total. Mick Fanning the year before in 2012, 18.87. So some pretty high scoring heats there. 18.43 for Kelly against Owen in the Code Red Swell. Andy Irons, Bobby Martinez, Bruno Santos, and Damien Hobgood. So Kelly Slater backed up his 10 with an 8.17. That's not enough to get the lead. Kelly still looking for that 9.0. Barrel awareness, Joe, from Kelly Slater. That's something that it can't be taught, can it? It's just something that naturally happens. That's just his reaction in a situation like that.
Well, you can tell that Kelly rises to the occasion when the swell picks up. He started missing events in the last few years because he was chasing waves on other sides of the planet, showing up sometimes in round 2 to compete in WCT events. He wants to get barreled that bad. You can see him all day on finals day. He is so driven by swell, and it's impressive for how long he's been in the game to be able to redefine his surfing and always comparing him to the best. That's why he always wants to have John Florence in his heats. John's the guy now that people are saying they're the best at pipeline, but you look at Kelly matched up against John at pipe, and Kelly's never lost to John at the Pipe Masters.
Kelly went to the next level last year in the Pipe Masters. John was probably the only guy that could have really matched Kelly out there, and Kelly just really stepped it up and just did some stuff out there. Took one drop that I just thought was impossible to make, and he's doing exactly the same here, starting off with a 10-point ride, showing a point of difference in those big barrels, going up and around the foam ball instead of trying to go over it, as Mark Occhilupo pointed out.
Well, as Pete Mel knows, back in the day, it used to just be like making a wave out here was incredible. Now it seems like, what are they doing inside of the tube that's making the big scores really effective? Peter, are you getting a good vision on how to kind of contrast John's approach to Kelly's, or is it too close to tell?
It's so close. I mean, they're both just firing off each other, and they were so relaxed before their heat. I'm just sorry, but look, you guys got to check this out.
John Florence takes off, locks in, he'll let go. Deep. The wave breathes, and John styles his way out of another bomb. He kicks out to the cheers of the channel. There's one going below sea level, but Kelly's going to hold back. His last wave came in at an 8.17, so Kelly was still second. John trying to better a 9.110. How'd that one look for you, Peter?
Oh, incredible. I mean, I didn't think he was actually going to make it. I mean, he's somehow able to do the same thing where you just stable the board over the foam ball, and just actually where he's positioning his board. I mean, he's completely behind my view, and I'm looking straight in the hole, and he was gone.
Now
came out of it.
Pete, with John not grabbing the rail, as we're going to watch the replay right now, it's given him that ability to pump inside the barrel and avoid that foam ball, as we see right there, just come flying out. But just a little bit of a different technique to Kelly, as we saw Kelly's 10. He went really high in the barrel to avoid that foam ball. As we see John sliding in, and you watch him, once he sets the rail, Joe, he lets go, and then he starts using that rail work. He starts maneuvering that board inside the barrel, those little check turns, those little idiosyncrasies that we don't see as he comes out. Just perfect style right there from John Florence. What a barrel, and another big score just about to be locked in.
Kelly Slater commits to this next wave. He'll touch the rail for a moment, stands tall, foam ball right under his board, and he makes it. We could be witnessing one of the best heats of all time with still 19:30 to go.
Wow, look at the conditions. Conditions are absolutely perfect. These guys are just slotting themselves deep inside the barrel and just shooting for that channel. Hopefully they come out. Yes, they do. Kelly Slater, another beautiful barrel there. an 8.17. He's trying to better. He's looking for a 9.0. I think John's going to better his 2-wave total. He's looking to replace that 9.10. Joe, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I'm about to stand up right now and jump up and down because this is absolutely crazy.
Oh, big numbers coming in for John Florence on wave number 3. He hasn't scored anything under a 9.10 in this semifinal bash. We saw John go down to Kelly at Pipe a couple of times in the past. He was able to beat Kelly Slater this year at Bells. Remember, he had that 10, that full rotation air. You could see him inspired as well to get a chance to beat Kelly Slater. And John's looked up to him. He's known him his entire life. When Kelly used to come back to Hawaii, John was about 5 years of age in the shore break at Ehukai, and they started a lifetime relationship.
You know, Kelly used to talk about this little blonde kid, 8-year-old blonde kid that was surfing pipe already, 6 to 8 foot pipe. You know, he was in the Triple Crown at 12 years old, surfing 8 to 10 foot Haleiwa. You know, John was destined to be a great surfer, especially in radical conditions like this. And, you know, I can tell you right now, this kind of heat means more to John than anywhere else in the world. You know, obviously we'd love to beat Kelly at Pipe, but in these kind of conditions, on this stage, this is Kelly's background. This is Kelly's home, pretty much. He's won this event more than anyone else. There's nowhere better for John right now to take Kelly down. And at the moment, he's got Kelly against the ropes, a 9.4, but Kelly has just about to lock in a pretty massive score, Joe. There it is.
A 9.77 for Kelly Slater. He takes the lead off of John Florence. Last for Florence, a 9.40. John in second, now needing a 9.88 to come back. Massive numbers continue, both in the 19-plus range once again. Still 17:30 on the clock. John does have first priority.
That's it, I'm standing up.
So he can answer back pots. We're expecting a big bomb to come through.
Well, you know what? You look at that, the score required from John, a 9.88. You're thinking, okay, anywhere else in the world, that's going to be a really tall order. Out here at Teahupoo, on today's conditions, taking into consideration what we've already seen in such a short space of time, John is pretty much destined to get that 9.88. I reckon John's going to throw down a 10 here any minute, Joe. I think the next big set that comes through, he's going to have to go a little deeper on the reef, and he's going to have to make sure he comes out well and truly after that spit.
Well, John's been setting the pace on what to expect as far as tube riding's concerned. We always talk about the best natural footers in the world at tube riding. He's among the guys like Jamie O'Brien, Jeremy Flores, Kelly Slater. You know, the Irons brothers kind of defined how you slow down and speed up in the barrel. That technique is insane to watch. It's an art form to watch him do it in waves of this kind of power. How would you explain what Kelly's doing when he's slowing down in a pit like this?
Well, like I said, I mean, what Kelly did on that 10-point ride is not something you can teach anyone. You know, that's something you're either born with or you're just never going to get it. You know, that's barrel awareness. That's just the ability to know exactly what to do at that point in time. And, you know, things are happening so quick. And, you know, Kelly said you've got to take those slow breaths. You know, you've got to calm yourself down and allow yourself to think slowly through those kind of situations. You know, it's really hard to explain. You know, obviously there's a technique that these guys use. You drag half your body in the wave, slow yourself down, and then you use your arm in the wave to sort of guide you through it. But in saying that what Kelly's doing out here today is something that most surfers on the planet will never, ever, ever get.
Well, now with 15:40 to go, Potts, you've been loving the kickouts throughout this entire event from round one all the way to finals day. We've seen claims in the past, and it's a big topic of conversation when you come to Teahupoo. How do you think it affects the panel that are watching the tube ride and then the kick out and then the claims throwing hands above their head? How does that affect the score?
Well, you know, I like the flyaway kick out. I used to do that when I was a kid. I think so far John's winning in my eyes, and he came out and he sort of motioned like he was walking on water, which he can pretty much do. But, you know, it's an interesting part of the wave, and I think, you know, to really show the judges that you're in control of that whole ride, I like the fact that you kick out with control. You know, these guys have all been doing that. John, very rarely does he spin out on his kick outs. Same with Kelly Slater. He makes sure he just trims out of the wave, and what that does is it gives him speed to then get back on his board and get out as quick as possible. You know, the guys that have been spinning out, you know, we saw Brett Simpson go over the falls. We saw Beard Durbridge skip like a rock at the end of his wave and get picked up and slammed. So, you know, you've got to be kind of graceful in that exit as well.
As we have 14:30 to go, John needs a 9.88 to come back against Kelly Slater. We'll find out if he does. Kelly Slater and John Florence, two of the best tube riders in the world, two of the best surfers on the planet, going head-to-head for a spot in the final at the Billabong Pro Tahiti. Kelly started with a 10. John started with a 9.9. John's had 3 9s in this heat, and he's still losing. He needs a 9.88 to come back with still 12:50 on the clock. Florence holding first priority as the ocean's gone just a little bit quiet, adding to the drama in this matchup, Potts.
Absolutely right, Joe. I think John's going to have to get a 10 by the end of this heat if he wants to walk away with it. You know, Kelly's got a 10 and a 9.77, and I guarantee you Kelly's looking at replacing that 9.77. Why? Because he's got John Florence in his heat. He knows what John's capable of doing. John's been posting 10s through this entire event, so Kelly's got to really, you know, surf a really smart back part of this heat.
As we see the inside West Bowl unloading, and John and Kelly know exactly what they're waiting for. He talked about those early starts for John back at the Triple Crown at about 12 years of age. That's when he was making his first trip to Teahupoo to surf this wave as just a grommet. It's been a familiar routine for him. No wonder he's one of the best tube riders in the world, Potts.
Yeah, well, you know, you don't need to do that when you go to places like Brazil or Snapper or Bells. You know, those are waves that you kind of get used to, and you know, they sort of kind of manhandle those kind of waves. But, you know, Cloud Break, Teahupoo, Pipeline, you know, those are the kind of waves of consequence, waves that will take a fair number of years to get used to. So John's done that at an early age, and you can really tell because he's looked ultra comfortable from the get-go here in this event.
Well, Kelly Slater is undefeated in the quarterfinals out here in Tahiti history. When it comes to the semifinals, he's made the semis 8 times with 5 wins. The last time he didn't win a semifinal was against Andy Irons back in 2010. Potts, that was one of the greatest rivalries in professional surfing history. Must have been pretty fun for you to watch that one go down.
Absolutely. I mean, I've experienced that many heats with these two guys going head-to-head. You know, Pipe Masters, I saw them go hammer and tong in Japan, and, you know, just, you know, two amazing athletes. And, you know, it took Andy Irons to bring Kelly back on tour, and, you know, Kelly's got to thank Andy for those extra world titles that he's got, because it hadn't it been for someone like Andy Irons, Kelly probably would have given it away.
It was kind of rare to see anyone with Kelly's number because it was unheard of when Kelly took a brief hiatus back in 99, 2000, and 2001. A guy named Andy came around and won 3 consecutive world titles, became one of the most successful pro surfers in such a short time, and it wasn't always easy for Andy. He came on tour, fell off, had to re-qualify, and he had this new presence about him on tour. He's very intimidating, not only in the free surfs out here, but whenever this place came to life in competition.
The thing with Andy is, you know, he was a complete package from, you know, from big gnarly waves. I mean, he was, you know, pulling into the barrel in the shore break at Waimea Bay. Pipeline, he had wide. He surfed that place like a beach break. You know, then you take him to the beaches in France, where he was, you know, one of the most winningest surfers in the southwest of France, all the way through to Australia. I mean, the guy was just amazing in all types of conditions, and that's what, you know, that's what Kelly found hard to deal with, was the fact that he wasn't just this guy that performed good in certain waves. He performed good in everything, and that really is a challenge to try and beat.
A massive challenge on paper also for these guys to outdo each other. When you look at their numbers from round 3, John and Kelly have a lot in common, comboing their competitors from round 3 to round 4 to the quarterfinals, and now they're matched up together. It's hard to combo each other. John's keeping his name in the game. He just needs a 9.88, Potts.
Yeah, he just needs a 9.88, that's all. I mean, that's nothing for John, and that's why Kelly's sort of, you know, he's not taking a deep breath right now. He's got to make sure he keeps on his game. He's got to make sure he tries to replace that 9.77. That's what he's got to do. That's in the back of Kelly's mind. Kelly's thinking, I need a perfect heat to try and win this heat against John.
It's 8:50 to go here, Potts. Kelly Slater, we know how close he is in the world title race. John Florence, little outside the top 10 picture, which was a surprise as we look at the career of John last year. Top 10 in the world. Best result, just 1 win in his career in Rio de Janeiro over Joel Parkinson. 4 years on tour, averaging results just outside the top 10. His average is solid when it comes to heat wins, over 50%. With 117 heats surfed so far. We remember when Yaden Nickel was hurt and he came up on the midseason rotation. We compare that to the career of Kelly Slater.
Yep, currently last year's ranking number 2, best results. He's got 54 WCT wins. That is crazy. 22 years on tour, his average result is 7th. He's over $3 million in prize money. Heat winning percentage 75.02. That is through the roof. Heat surfed just over 1,000. So Kelly Slater ranked number 6 coming into this event. And I'll tell you what, he's going to be doing some moving, and his year pretty much has just started, Joe. You know, you can tell by his attitude here, he's in it to win it. Every year Kelly Slater is on tour. There's no doubt in his mind that he's going to be there at the end of the year.
Big congratulations for Kelly Slater passing the 1,000 heat mark at the Billabong Pro Tahiti. Heats he'll probably never forget to make it extra special. Kelly's quite a numbers guy.
I reckon he remembers every single one of those heats too.
Guaranteed. You could ask him about, you know, his first heats back in the early 90s against some of the legends that came before.
Ask him about a heat at the Life's a Beach Pro in 1990 in California. I bet he remembers that one.
That heavy one to go down. 7 on the clock. John still needs a 988. For more insight, we'll check in with Ronnie, Strider, and Aki.
Thanks, Joe. Kelly Slater, as you said, amazing results he's had in the past. He's chasing his 57th World Tour victory. Incredible stuff. But what's really blowing my mind at the moment is Kelly is now surfing in his 4th 19-plus heat in a row. He's already put together an amazing heat score combination, as has John Florence, the 2 highest scoring surfers in the draw. On paper, an amazing matchup, and from the very first set wave, it blew our minds.
It blew our minds. The best heat I've ever seen. It has to be. Like, it just culminated in this. You know, they had to meet, unfortunately, before the final, but Strider, it's the best surfing I've ever seen at Teahupoo, the best surfing I've ever seen anywhere.
Well, we heard Kelly talking about it in his post-heat interview. He was going to have to go out there and get, you know, a 19-plus total, and he's got that on the board right now. But John, you know he's got a 10 in him. He's just sitting out there waiting for it. He's got priority. I mean, this thing is not over, and it's far from over. It's like the best thing I've ever seen. And we're like little kids over here watching it. We're so excited. It's really cool.
We thought we were going to see these two just go at it in the final of the Pipe Masters last year. It ended up being a bit of a one-sided battle. This one, however, has just played out beautifully. A lot of big set waves. Love to see another flurry in the final 5.5 minutes of this heat, boys.
Thanks a lot, Ron, Aki, and Strider. The amazing heat. We're already starting to call this maybe the best event ever, with Aki confirming what Kelly said earlier in the channel, but maybe one of the best starts ever with Kelly versus John. You put 2 of the best in the world out in conditions like this, they're going to throw you near perfect scores. And with John needing a 988, it doesn't feel like that big of a task with conditions like this.
Yeah, you know, absolutely right. I mean, anyone else, you kind of go, okay, it could be over, but with John, you know he's got a 10 in him, as Ronnie said. But I tell you what, let's give these guys another half an hour. I mean, come on, let's extend this heat. Let's have a look at the recap, though, Joe. So far, there's been fireworks from the get-go, and this was the opening wave. John took off on wave number 1. I thought that was going to be a 10. It came close at a 9.90. John made it quite clear that he was not going to lie down for Kelly. Kelly right behind him, though. How's this? Trimmed really high up and around. The foam ball came flying out. Locked in a perfect 10 on wave number 1. All 5 judges gave that a 10. John came back. He hasn't scored anything under 9 points so far in this heat. Joe, it's been fireworks from the get-go.
Styling his way out of the tube, the Hawaiian John Florence putting together a super heat, but Kelly keeps answering back. A 9.77 on his last wave puts John in that 2nd spot. Each tube ride is just a little bit different for Kelly Slater and where he's taking off and what he's doing in the barrel, but the one thing that stays consistent is his excitement level to compete in perfection. 4 minutes to go for John to try to make a comeback.
Yeah, I wish there was 40 more minutes in this heat. It's just amazing to watch, and as Strider said, we're all like kids, you know, in a candy store watching these two guys go battle, you know, head to head in you know, epic conditions here. It's been such a good day of surfing, and we're not finished yet. We've still got the finals to come, and whoever makes it through this heat, at the moment Kelly's hanging on to that lead, is going to come up against our world #1, Gabriel Medina, and that is going to be a great heat as well.
A big matchup, Medina standing by. It's either going to be a guy in his generation with John Florence or the best surfer of all time, Kelly Slater. 320 will tell if another set will come through for John to make this comeback. Perfection like this. Remember back in the day, Kelly and Shane Dorian were sitting together trying to think of a series called Versus because they loved competing against each other. They wanted to do strike missions and just maximize swell windows and just see who could outperform each other in perfect waves. See how hard it is to score swell like this when you have an event window on tour. You can start to see, realizing how much we're scoring right now with waves this big, with buttery bathtub conditions, as we've been calling it on finals day.
Yeah, you know, normally when you have events like this, you get 1 or 2 days maybe through the period where, you know, it's epic. I mean, this thing started off with a bang. We had incredible conditions in round 1. Round 2 was unbelievable. And we reconvened yesterday in sort of growing swell. Started off buttery, perfect conditions in the morning, and then just started getting bigger and better through the day. And then this morning we rocked up to 6 to 8 foot with 10 foot, 12 foot sets coming through, the occasional 15 footer that no one wanted. So, you know, to finish on a day like today is just phenomenal. Semi-finals action and 10-point rides getting thrown down by the world's best surfers. Courageous performances from all the guys. You know, these guys have been getting hammered. Owen Wright just really thrown the gauntlet down to Kelly. Unfortunately, you know, not taking that one. So incredible day of surfing.
Thunder still in the lineup with 2 minutes on the clock. Time ticking away for John Florence, but he does have priority, and it only takes one bomb to make the difference against Kelly Slater. Mini rivalry between these two, trying to decide who's the undisputed best tube rider in the world. If you could dream up a heat, you'd say, I want to see Kelly and John at 10-foot Teahupoo going head-to-head. We're seeing it right now. Still 1:30 on the clock.
We are seeing it right now. You know, back in the old system, top 3 rides, you know, John's got 3 9s. Kelly's got a 10, an 8, and a 9.77. So even in the 3 best 3 rides, we're still looking at a very tight heat. So, you know, John obviously needing that 9.88, which is a huge score, but in conditions like today, that's one roll of the dice. He's got it. Time is ticking away. Can't really see too much at the moment coming through. He's looking for one wave, and time is the enemy right now for John.
There's a mystical look on the lineup right now as the ocean looks a bit gray. A little more cloud cover out the back over the lineup at Teahupoo. We've had a serious lull on a massive day, and now the horizon jumps. John Florence needs a 9.88. He locks in. Let's go the rail. Still sliding, and he'll pop out the other end. After a serious wait.
Wow.
The wave he was waiting for came through.
Wow. And it was a one-wave set too. Now with 30 seconds to go, if John has got that 9.88, Kelly's going to need a score, and he's 20 seconds remaining. So it's in the judges' hands right now. Did John get it? Let's have a look at the replay here. He takes off late, as usual, grabs that rail, pulls straight up, and then stands tall in the barrel. He's gone, he's disappeared. It starts to unload on the reef again. John powering through that section. That was maybe a little bit longer than his other ones, Joe. Let's have a look again from a different angle. As he slides into the barrel, he lets go of the rail, grabs it again. Now that's a critical wave. If John let go of the, re-grabbed the rail, I beg your pardon, and comes out flying, he looks at the judges saying, okay, a 9.88 required. Is that going to be enough?
Well, we've run out of time in this second semifinal. John Florence has taken 4 waves. Kelly's taken 3. They were battling on every single set exchange. There was nothing left out the back for Kelly to answer back. He's still smiling. He has a 19.77 total. Can John get a number to move into the final for the first time this season? It's up to the panel as they look at the video replay.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, if Kelly loses with a 10 and a 9.77, that is going to be for the record books as well. John looking for a 9.88 to go alongside his 9.90. Let's have another look at it as he takes off, slides down into it. Just absolute perfect technique right there. He lets go and then re-grabs the rail just to make sure he comes out. He knows he's got to make this one count. He needs a big score, trying to maximize the time, then let's go again and gets that bonus section. That was a long barrel in the scheme of things compared to his 9.4. That's what the judges are going to be doing. They'll be gauging it between Kelly's 9.77 as well. Look at that, nice and deep, disappeared. He was completely gone for quite a period of time. Look at that thing, regurgitating, unloading on the reef, and John comes flying out of the end. So perfect technique there from John Florence. Perfect timing, perfect positioning. And I tell you what, with only seconds remaining on the clock. So was it a buzzer beater, Joe?
A huge moment for all John Florence fans out there as he prepares to have a chat with Peter Mel in just a moment, but they're anticipating the numbers to come through. They're, the whole Florence camp are saying you got the score, no doubt about it. Everyone in Kelly's camp is probably going the other way. It's that tight right now. We're comparing perfection with tube riders, two of the best in the world.
Well, it's anyone's game. I tell you what, to me, there's no losers. They both came into this heat absolutely swinging, and both guys locking in big scores. John's actually going to post 4 waves in the 9-point range. It's just about how high this 9's going to be. It could maybe even, a couple of judges might even throw a 10 at it. They're taking a bit of a time right now to assess that wave. They know how important this is, and they want to get it right. So Pete Mel's in the channel awaiting to have a chat to both these guys.
That's right, Potts. It's pretty insane to see the score starting to drift in now for John Florence. The first
9.9, 9.8.
Numbers or just Hail Mary the thing? You gotta Hail Mary it.
I'm just going to let them chat. Let it listen up, because that's what you want to hear, right?
Come on. Are we on?
Yeah, you're on.
We're just wondering what the score was. They're looking at the whole heat, I guess. But I don't know. That was fun.
Hey, Pete, early indications are saying that one judge locked in a 9.9, one judge locked in a 9.8.
One says 9.9, one says 9.8.
And the other 3 were still waiting for.
Well, the 3 you're waiting on.
Yeah, so those are the 3
John,
that's going to count.
what do you think on that last wave?
I don't know. It was long, but it's really hard to say because, I think it was better than one of my other 9s.
Another 9.8, Pete.
Wave.
Another 9.8.
Oh,
it comes in
9.87.
9.87.
It's not enough.
Tied, and Kelly wins.
A tie-break situation. Kelly Slater moves on since he had the perfect 10.
9.87. So congratulations.
Holy cow.
Slater.
All right, here, John, come here.
Oh my God.
I mean, could you have asked for a better, scenario, though, guys? I mean, seriously, you guys were so relaxed before your heats, and then you go out there, and it's like, are you shattered, or are you good?
I don't even know what I have right now. The whole heat, everything in that whole last 35 minutes is crazy. I'm pretty sick, though.
I mean, it's got to be some of the best times of your life.
Yeah, I'm still so stoked, It's like I got one, my first wave was so good, I was so psyched, and I kicked out, and then he was on the next one. It was just insane. And it's just the both of us out there, and just glassy and clean and nice.
And then Kelly, your thoughts?
I don't know. It's crazy that we just had a tie. I mean, there was a
surf off.
Oh, we're cool right here. We're gonna get cleaned up. How's that sound? Yeah, go for. I'm gonna take a 15-minute break.
Hey, got out.
John, I was sick.
Yeah, thanks, John. Kelly, what about John's performance?
Unbelievable. The guy is crazy. I mean, I was looking at the draw, going, man, if I do good, I'm gonna get Owen, and if I do real good, I'm gonna get John. And
now you got Gabby.
Yeah, now I got Gabby. So it's a whole different battle.
And we're in the pit again.
And shit, I don't know. Excuse me. I'm so stoked. This is dream day. This is one of the best days of my life competitively. I know it's bittersweet for John. I know he's bummed, but he was stoked. I mean, he's stoked too. It's cool. There's nothing worse than when you don't have an opportunity and you got one in the end. And I honestly would have been super stoked if he got the score. I mean, I feel like kind of bittersweet right now, to be honest. Kind of wow. I think I got to go psych myself back up and realize I still got to serve.
Yeah, well, I mean, against Gabe? What are your thoughts there? I mean, big heat.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have a little bit different approaches out here. He's gone those deeper kind of small runners, and I'm trying to sit on the corner and wait for one that's not quite a tow wave. And we'll see. It's, you know, it got real slow in the back half of our heat, and it still feels like it's dying a little bit. But, I mean, there's all you want out there still.
And it's coming right now, huh? Take it away, boys.
These guys moving out of position. A great read there for Peter Mel and Kelly Slater, giving us that final moment right after the buzzer sounded. A tie-break situation with a 19.77 total. We know surfing's progressing. Maybe they'll have an overtime rule now to give these guys more time in the lineup. They couldn't split the difference. The only way they break that tie is they go to the high single wave score. Kelly had the perfect 10 over John John's 9.9.
Yeah, they go back to their single high scoring ride and obviously the 10 wins. So, you know, back in my day, I had a surf off with Michael Ho. I made the semi-finals at Pipe. They couldn't break the tie, so they sent us back out for a fresh heat. Maybe they should have done that with John and Kelly. Just give us another 30 minutes of that kind of surfing. You know, John posted 4 waves over the 9-point range. Kelly got that single highest scoring ride of the 10, and that was the difference, Joe. But I tell you what, we were the winners there. Everyone out there in, you know, watching us, watching this event has got to be pretty stoked with what they've just seen.
Now let's prepare for the moment we've been waiting for. Gabriel Medina takes on Kelly Slater in the final. Enjoy the mid-show on the desk right out.
Do you like that? Well, if so, subscribe over there and then watch more videos over there. And then tell us your favorite videos down there. It's a 3-step process. Do them all now.